Hello! Okay, so I've done a lot more work on this now. The website's a lot more cool looking. CSS can go die, but I've got it sort of working how I would like, so with a proportion of it dedicated to the information, which will be eventually in graph and plot form. And the history window down here, and the command bar, and then the selection box here for what role. That selection box is temporary, it's just there for demonstration. So I've got a lot of commands in there now for the engineer and the scanner. So I go help system, so you can go help. Actually, let me start the simulator. That might help. So you've got say, so you can say, "Hi guys, engineer here." And then everybody else on the team will see you said that, and so the pilot could then respond, "I know." And then if you go back to the engineer, you'll see that the pilot said that. Amazing, amazing. So other commands he's got reroute, so you can reroute stuff like cooling or power around the mech. So you could say reroute radiator 0 to capacitor 0, power 100. So that will set that ratio to 100, so now the reactor and the capacitor is getting the same amount of cooling. So that's bad for the reactor and bad for the capacitor. Eventually they'll both melt. So we've got control, so that'll let you change the power level and stuff. So let me turn our reactors off. So now the throttle on the reactor is set to 0, and the power output will wind down. Interestingly, the radiator is still pumping out heat, so somehow it operates without any power. That's pretty cool. Actually, no, it's drawing power from the capacitor. I thought that was a bug, but it may not actually be a bug. Because yeah, the capacitor is powering the radiator, and the reactor was previously charging the capacitor, so maybe it will stop. Don't know. So the other command I've got that implemented but doesn't actually do anything yet is scram, which just shuts down the reactor and dumps in a heap of coolant. So that you use that if your reactor is about to blow up. It's generally a bad idea because it takes a while to restart the reactor. I'm thinking that you'll have two reactors, and a number of reactors, so losing one isn't the end of the world. So that capacitor is now discharged and our exhaust rate has dropped off entirely. So it looks like it wasn't a bug after all. Command history works now, so you can press up and down and scroll through everything you've typed in. I don't remember the limit. I think at present the limit might be as much memory as JavaScript will let me have, so that's probably put a cap on that. So let's put the capacitor, the reactor to 100%. So you'll see here that the power output doesn't necessarily follow the throttle. It takes a little while, and it's got some inertia, so it'll overshoot. But as you can see, the capacitor is drastically overheating, and things are going very bad because the reactor is quite powerful. So I'll put that back down to 5, I think it was that before. So the other command I've implemented is for the recon guy. So he's got scan, so that lets him define the parameters of a sensor scan. So if he goes scan negative 10, 10, 0, 50, 100, so that's negative 10 degrees left, 10 degrees right, 0 kilometers away to 50 kilometers away at power level 100. Hey presto, he's got a sensor return up on the top there. So there's some pretty big errors on that scan. So I might tighten up the parameters a bit. And I might say from 5 degrees left to 5 degrees right, because the error bar is quite big. So the heading error is 7. So he's at heading -1, so slightly to our left. But it could be anywhere from negative maths -8 to +6. So I'll do a smaller scan at -5 to 5, but he's at range 40 ±7. So I'll just go from 35 to 45 and do another scan. And there we go. All their errors are very low now, so we're reasonably sure that the target is right there. You've probably guessed that he is indeed at 0 degrees ahead, dead ahead, and 40k away. So doing these scans chews up an enormous amount of power. So the power it uses is proportional to the area you're scanning times the range, and the error on that reading is proportional to the range squared divided by the power. So if you're scanning stuff a very long way away, you can have to spend an enormous amount of power and be very precise in your scan to get any decent data out of the scan. Okay, I think that's about it in terms of new cool stuff. Okay, bye bye.